All right, and we are live. Hi, everyone. Happy holidays. Happy past Merry Christmas. Happy almost New Year. Welcome to another wonderful panel of Betsy Freeman booking. We have a wonderful group of wonderful women today, and we are going to focus on the topic of self-care in general, self-care during the holidays. The holidays can be very stressful, they can be very relaxing, they can be both, but self-care is good to do whenever you feel overwhelmed and in your everyday life. So we can talk about it also, looking forward to 2021. My name is Maia. We'll introduce ourselves first. My name is Maia. I will be the moderator. I do a lot of things under the umbrella of mental health and creativity. I have a podcast where I interview my feelings every episode. It's called Interview with Myself. You can go check it out. And I create programs with mental health and creativity. Jennylyn, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Okay, so my name is Jennylyn Chung, and I do a couple different things as well. I'm a professional singer, as well as a voice teacher and a mentor. So I typically work with ladies who are between the age of 20 and 40 that are passionate about having some kind of an artistic career or really just developing themselves as singers, and also helping women to build their personal, most fabulous self in life, whatever that looks like, which I've learned is very different for each woman. There's no really sort of one path to the dream life that looks different. So that's kind of what I do. That's pretty much it. You want to take it, Flo?
Sure. So I'm Flo. I'm a pop soul artist. And music is my heartbeat and my language. Jen, I'm going to popcorn to you.
All right. My name's Jenn, and my passion is encouragement and mentoring. So I love to see the vision that someone has inside them or what they do and just help them pull that out and fling that into their destiny. And I usually work with women and youth and, just whoever really wants help getting their vision to come into life.
Nice. I love it. Oh my God, we all have such diverse and different but awesome and interesting paths and careers. All right, let's start with kind of like the basic first question. And by the way, we're on Facebook Live, so if you have, we're monitoring the chat. If anybody has any questions they want to ask us during the panel, please type it in. Let's start with the basic question of what do you do for self-care? What is self-care for you? What do you do for self-care? Okay, Jennylyn, do you want to start?
Sure. I have a very simple routine of self-care because I feel like if I start adding too many things to my list, I start to feel overwhelmed with the concept of self-care, which is the polar opposite. So I typically have a very small list of things that I do each day for self-care that, believe it or not, has taken me some time to work up to. Things like washing my face off, the makeup off my face before I go to bed. I went for years in my 20s, just like going to bed with a full face of makeup. Things like that. I get my toes painted once a month. Like I always have like pretty feet, that kind of thing. And I use really nice skincare. I actually sell it kind of on the down low. I'm like a secret, like not like a drug dealer, but a skincare dealer sort of. It's not something I push to openly, but I do sell it. But it's a skincare called Rodent and Fields. You guys can get it from probably anyone in your neighborhood, but it's a really amazing skincare. So it's like 4 or 5 steps that I put on my skin every day. So those are just sort of the beauty self-care things that I try to do. I'm also very good about sleep. Like I don't play. I take naps like for an hour a day if I want to. I sleep like 8-9 hours at night. And I really live a life of joy and ease. And I know that sounds kind of cheesy, but I really like the work I do. I really love the relationships in my life are positive. Like I live the kind of life that brings me joy. And so because I have that kind of peace of mind, I'm able to sleep well at night and, feel joyful and happy throughout the day. So those are just like some tidbits of my self-care.
Yeah, those are very good tidbits. We do have a technical adjustment that we need to make. Jennylyn, if you don't mind switching to from speaker view to panel to gallery view. I think it's at the top right of your Zoom, if you can see it, where it says speaker view. Just click gallery view. Did it switch on your screen?
Mm-hmm. Did
Okay,
it switch
awesome.
for you
Yeah,
guys?
because then we can see. No, it's a. We can see you. Yeah, it's a Facebook thing. Awesome. Thank you
Okay.
so much. There we go. I see it switched. Awesome. Now we can see. They can see all of us all the time, not
Okay,
whoever's,
perfect.
which is much nicer. Jen, what is your self-care?
My biggest self care was learning that it was okay to take a day completely for me. So every week I take one day where I say I have no responsibilities, I don't schedule appointments, I don't make calls, and I just get to do whatever I need to do to fill up. So, whatever activity it is I'm really wanting to do, whether it's listen to my music, whether it's journal, whether it's just sleeping, whatever I want to do, I get one day a week where that is my mental, my physical health, where I'm not available to anyone but me.
I might steal that. That
Yeah.
sounds awesome.
Really helpful.
Thank you. Flo?
I'm the same as Jen. I basically have adopted a day of rest once a week, and I love it, and I'm very protective of it. It was something that I kind of forced myself to do, and now nobody can pay me to take it away. So it's just, as Jen mentioned, it's just my day of rest where I do fun things. I do not do anything work related, and I love it. Yeah.
Sounds awesome. There's two things that I do on a consistent basis. The first one I do every day is TM, which for whoever doesn't know is called oh my God, I'm going to totally not say it the right way, but it's transcendental meditation. TM.org if you want more information, but it's amazing. It totally changed my life. So I wake up and the first thing I do is I meditate for 20 minutes. And then once or twice a week, I practice Kundalini Yoga, which is again another practice for me that just changed my whole energy. Everything else is kind of like on a week-to-week basis or day-to-day basis, because there's a week where it's insane busy and there's a week when it's more downtown. That's the freelancing life. So yeah, like sometimes I will take half a day off or do something fun during the day. Or I will end early, go travel. That's kind of like what I do. All right, we had some questions coming in about self-care. So let's start with a question for Jennylyn, okay? And by the way, you guys all can answer, but we'll have Jennylyn starts first. Here's the question. Being around my family for the holidays, I often feel like I'm not doing enough for others, and I know I'm not taking great care of myself. What can I do to help develop my intuition so that I can stay as healthy as possible and not overextended?
That's a good question. Well, I think we definitely teach people how to treat us. So if we're feeling like we're being pulled, too far in certain directions and people aren't respecting our time or our need to rest, or, like the fact that maybe you have to leave a party early, or maybe you have to come a little late because you have something else going on. You can't take every gig. Now it's quarantine, but during like maybe you can't take every gig or opportunity to perform or sing if you're a performer. I think we train people how to treat us primarily by putting in our mind how we want to be treated. So I think that's the seed, is in the mind. So it's important to affirm in your mind how you want people to treat you. So you want to say things like, people respect my time. It's like, say that to yourself, like kind of almost meditate on that a bit. Affirm, like, people understand me, people get me, people give me the proper space, people want me to be healthy, happy, and taking care of myself. So I typically speak a lot of affirmations in my head. And I noticed that when I do that, though there's usually typically a lag, sometimes a few weeks, occasionally a few months, but usually not that long, people in my real life begin to feel that energy from me and they begin to respond in kind. So I'm a big fan of putting yourself first. I make no apologies about that. I'm a very selfish woman and I own that very I say that. I don't know if my friends would describe me that way. I think they'd say, oh, she's a sweetheart and she's always there for. I've lived my life in a way that I now know that a woman that does not have her cup full isn't, she just can't love other people in the same way. If you're not feeling rested and happy and joyful, you simply don't have the tools to go to your family parties and your events and, into your relationships and really pour into them the love that those people that you want to give them. So I'm a big fan of women having a healthy dose of selfishness, is what I call it. Putting yourself first, caring for yourself. And from that space of strength and confidence and being well rested and being happy, going out into the world and, you don't even have to think of pouring it into people. It's just natural. It's very organic. You will organically bring joy to other people. You will organically, without effort, sort of give people the happiness and the love that you've always wanted to give them anyway. But I think it starts in the mind, and it's about owning a healthy dose of selfishness.
Nice. Thank you. Jen, do you have anything you want to share about that too?
I think that when you're going into a situation where you're knowing you're going to be around people, I think prepping beforehand is really good. Just kind of setting boundaries around yourself to say, oh, hey, you know what? I'm going to go for this long, or I'm going to give this much time, or I'm going to be okay to say no to something, or to tell someone if that's out of my range or if I've done too much, and just be okay with that and just have a plan going in so that you don't get overwhelmed.
Nice. Flo?
I'm going to echo what Jen said, a little bit about what Jennylyn said. I think obviously boundaries, like that was a word that popped into my mind from the beginning. Boundaries and knowing yourself is important. And those who love you will respect those boundaries because they want the best for you. And Jennylyn, I love what you said, but I disagree with the selfishness. I don't think that's selfish. I think that's wisdom, that's self-awareness. And people who don't have boundaries, aren't aware of that, which is why they feel fragmented and exhausted and they can't give to others because their cup is empty. So it's definitely not selfish. To me, it's wisdom and self-awareness. You need to care for yourself before you can care for others. You have to have something that you can give. And so I think that's healthiness, and every human being should be filled up in order for them to be able to pour out to others.
Yeah. I agree with everything you all said. And I would say, like, on the intuition part, I know for me, it took some time to get used to it, is to stop sometimes and pay attention to how I'm feeling. If I feel overwhelmed or stressed or like not having fun or not good, when I'm in certain situations with family, with friends, with commitments, that's to me is like a good kind of like asking myself, what do I need right now? Do I need to just stay and take a few minutes off? Do I need to leave? Do I need to reschedule? Whatever it is, that's kind of like the intuition part for me of just asking myself, what do I need? Noticing how I feel. All right, great. That's some good advice here. Here's a question for Jen, okay? Another question. What are the best routines you personally use when you need a refresher or a break? Which we kind of talked a little bit about it in the beginning. Like, what is the routine that you do when you need a break and a refresher?
Well, I think so. I'm going to take it from, because we kind of talked about general at the beginning. So I'm going to take it if I notice like partway through the day, you know what, I need a break right now. I need a refresher. I need my brain. Like if I've been writing all day or working on a project and you're like, okay, you know what, I'm hitting a wall. I need a break. So my routine is typically to step away and to either go for a walk, to put on some music, because for me, that just refreshes me and refills me. So I put on music that I find helps me with that. And I just do something physical, whether it's walking, whether it's the 15 minutes of yoga. I have like the 10-minute quick, yoga, like get your blood flow type thing. Do something like that just kind of refreshes me. Maybe have a snack or go get a smoothie, something that just kind of gives me that refreshing and that break, and just allow myself again to tell myself, you know what, it's okay. I need a break. This is what I need to do. And that's kind of what I do in that point.
Nice. I like that. Flo?
You know what? I'm going to repeat the same thing Jen said, because I think it's right on the mark. I think
I'm going to switch you, Flo. I'm going to have you go before Jen
Well,
next time. So you won't keep
Jen's
repeating
speaking
her.
the truth. I'm loving it. But to me, it's all about stepping away. You know, especially as a creative, when you have like, you know, creative block, when you just, or you feel like you're hitting your head on a brick wall and ideas aren't coming, or you're just exhausted. The worst thing you could do is try to like push through, because it gets worse. So, you know, whether it's like stepping away for 10 minutes, half an hour, or some people, when they're just really exhausted, the best thing they can do is maybe give themselves a day of break or go for a weekend getaway. But, you know, when your brain and your body needs a break, you need to listen. You know what I mean? You need to give it a break because it's telling you something. So stepping away, whether it's minutes, hours, or even a couple of days, I think is one of the smartest things you could do. Just take a break.
Nice. Jennylyn, anything you want to add?
Yeah, kind of what Flo said. I take it further. I've taken a year off, period. No money, lived off my credit cards, didn't care. It's all been dealt with, paid off. I'm like back on the up. I don't even care. So if I need a break, if I need to take a month, if I need to take a year, I find that I need it every 7 to 10 years. I just need like several months off. I would be lying to say that I'm the kind of person that needs a lot of that downtime, because my whole life is built around joy. This is not to like disregard the question. I live under inspired action. I do almost nothing that I don't feel excited about, inspired by. I don't work with clients unless I'm feeling like just this connection and this like love. I'm very picky and very choosy about my work, my business, my music. I don't sing things I don't love. I do everything in my life based off of what I call inspired action. If I do need a break, which happens from time to time, I guess in my work, I tend to do things like coffee dates with my girlfriends, shopping at the mall, you know, just cruising around, looking like window shopping is fun, you know, stuff like that.
Oh, nice. Yeah, and it's everybody has a different way of doing things. Yeah, some people go extreme, some people not. It's totally fine. Yeah, to echo what you said, Jennylyn. Yeah, I'm like hanging out with people. It's definitely a good breaker for me. That's why I miss co-working a lot, because you could just like work, and then take an half an hour and chat with people and just hang out. But I found for me, it's very shallow, but it's very effective. A 20-minute nap or an half an hour Netflix will totally reset me. It would be like, boom, I'm back to 100. So I just learned to not judge it, and I just do it with boundaries. I don't disappear for the rest of the day, and then it would just recharge me, and I'm back to full of energy. All right, next question is to Flo, so she can go before Jen. Flo, what self-care do you do when you feel stressed out? That's a question that came in about being stressed out and what to do about it self-care wise.
So I'm pretty much going to repeat a lot of what we've been talking about. Actually, the first thing we spoke about, and then I have something else I want to say to Jennylyn, because I just loved, you know, what you mentioned about passion and joy. But for me, again, it's all about, I've come to learn, I have to listen to my body. I have to listen, because there's going to be repercussions. You know what I mean? Like when my brain is like, I'm done, you need to give me a break. Or when my body's giving me, you know, signs like headache or, you know, like extreme exhaustion, because I'm usually a high energy person. I'm also one of those hardcore, nope, got to get this done. But I've learned lessons that if I don't listen to my body or my mind or my brain, yeah, it's not going to be good. So I think just that self-awareness of what your, you know, what your body is telling you, your brain, when you need a break. And for me, the 1 day off per week has been one of the best things I've ever done. So, and that's just me, but that's been my tool of, I look forward to, like, when I work hard, let's say 6 days of the week, and I have that 1 day where I can just do rest, relax, have fun, I recharge my battery. So for me, that is my weekly, you know, continuous on a basis self-care thing. But everybody's different. For some people, it's, you know, beauty products. For some people, it's, you know, coffee with, and I love coffee with friends or whatever, or movies or whatever recharges your battery and gives you joy and rest. like implement it. We're humans. We need that balance. So it's just make sure you've got that balance, because an extreme of either or is not good. And the other thing I was going to mention, Jennylyn, we as human beings should all aim to live lives of joy and passion. That I think is like what you're doing, being very specific and strategic with only doing what you love, doing what you feel like you're born to do. That I think should be like the ultimate goal, right? So that's beautiful that you're doing that. That's the life that we should all strive for. I just wanted to add that.
Yes, amen. Absolutely. Jennylyn, any tips about self-care when you stress out? Because let's just face it, sometimes like we can't just stop everything, or it's everything feels a lot very overwhelming. So how do self-care comes in those moments?
I think if you're feeling stressed, the best thing you can do is take a couple steps backwards. Why are you stressed? I'm not stressed because I don't do things that don't make me happy. I used to have a lot of like performance anxiety. So I've been a professional performer since I was 10. I started actually like getting on live stages and singing for money. And I never had performance anxiety until I started singing music I didn't love. I started singing. Now I love opera and classical music. I'm classically trained, but there's much opera I don't prefer. I like Puccini. I like Mozart. I like some Handel, but I don't like all opera. And I found myself singing a lot of like contemporary opera and just things that I just didn't bring me joy. And all of a sudden, as that, continues to snowball, suddenly I'm having all this performance anxiety and stress. Why? So I would take a few steps back is what I would do, and ask yourself, why are you stressed? Because we ladies are not meant for a life of stress and sorrow and pain. And like, I would try to maybe get to the nucleus, because when you are in alignment with what you're meant to do, you should feel inspired action, joy. And I mean, I'm not going to say you would never feel stressed about things, but it shouldn't be overrunning your life. If you're feeling like stress is killing you, you may not be in the right lane. So I typically use that as an indicator to look deeper within of why I'm not happy, because I'm not here to be unhappy. I like to be happy.
And what I'm hearing from you too, because, sometimes the circumstances beyond our control, is to change, is to make different choices, to choose different things when it shows up in your life. Awesome. Jenn, is there anything you want to add about self-care during times of stress?
Well, I love what Jennylyn said about it being an indicator. I think that's so key. Like, if I'm stressed, why am I feeling that? What changed? Did I say yes to something I should have said no to? Am I prioritizing something? Am I doing something because I'm trying to please or, give off this perfectionist image when really it was something I should have just stepped back? Or did I used to have a schedule where if I did not fit everything on my schedule in one day, I either wouldn't go to bed till it was done, or, just ridiculousness. And it really affected my physical body and my emotions. And then I recognized that, when I started to get to that place where my body started to feel tense, I would ask myself, have I walked around enough today? Have I had enough water today? Is there something on my plate that shouldn't be there? Is there something I can take off and put it on the bookshelf for another day? And typically that can help kind of release those things. And even stretching is a phenomenal way to relieve stress. If all of a sudden you feel stressed, it could just be that you need to move a little bit. And stretching is great for just releasing that.
Yeah. And I do a lot of similar things too. It's kind of, for me, it's breaking it down, like what exactly is going on. Why am I stressed out? But to me, I have a lot of trauma. So stress come out sometimes and it's just a trauma response or something like that. So I also use a lot of trauma regulation. Things like TM for me is one of them, to groundiness, somatic, like stuff that, because sometimes it's like the nervous system, it's not real, like there's nothing really going on, but your nervous system gets triggered by something, and then you start feeling stress or overwhelmed. So I do a lot of trauma response to that when I can break it down, because it's not logical. So either one of those, it's usually stuff that works for me. All right, another question. I will answer that one first. Ooh, that's a good one. That's the $64,000 questions,
Hmm.
as I think you Americans say. Why, why is it important to have self-care? Maybe we should have started with that question. Why is it? Let's cut and reshoot. No. Why is it important to have self-care? I mean, this is like a very, I guess, basic question, because I guess my answer would be is that we're humans, and being human is hard. It can be tough and can be challenging sometimes. And self-care is our medicine, our respond to having it easier, taking care of ourselves. No matter, you guys probably know the saying, no matter where you go, you always take you with you. So it's kind of like we are like, as much as it, of course, it's important to take care of other people and to take care of other areas of your life. Self-care, like taking care of yourself, is the first line, the first front, because that's where you are able to go out and do everything that you want to do, that you need to do. And we're not invisible, and we're not robots. We have our limitation as humans, and it's important, like we talked before, to know what your limitations are and when do you need to stop and when do you need to take care of yourself, because otherwise we will burn out. And I had those moments that I just became an unfunctioning human because I would not do self-care, or that I ignored self-care. And then it can hurt you physically, it can hurt you emotionally, spiritually, mentally, of course. So to me, the answer is because you're human and you need to take care of yourself. That would be my answer. Flo, do you want to answer next?
Yeah, sure. Like again, I'm going to do it to you. I'm going to piggyback on, a lot of what you said. As human beings, we need balance. And I think the most important thing is that we want to prevent the big B, burnout. It's, we definitely want to prevent burnout. And we are, when we're experiencing stress, it has a way of like things that, anxiety, stress, things that are precipitating themselves in the mind have a way of presenting themselves in the body. You know what I mean? And so stress is usually the precursor for a lot of chronic, issues, illnesses, or even pain. So, and that's the body's way of even, letting us know when we ignore what's going on in here, that there's something wrong and we need to deal with it. There's something in life that is, just too much. So I think self-care is preventative. It basically ensures balance and health. And, especially if you're the type of person who tends to like to care for others, you have to care for yourself in order to, what we said earlier on in the conversation, in order to be able to care for others. If there's nothing left in you, then you can't impart anything to others. So I think self-care is it's crucial for everybody. And it's crucial for health and balance, period. I think it's just a non-negotiable.
Yeah, nice. Jennylyn?
Yes, okay. So Maya touched on it a bit about retraining your nervous system for ease. I know very few women that didn't grow up with some kind of trauma, and obviously some much more than others, myself included. And you begin to train your nervous system for chaos and misery and destruction. You can also retrain your nervous system for ease and flow and joy. So I do think, and then Flo touched on it, it's in the mind. Again, guys, it's like, where do we start retraining the nervous system? Because what the thoughts in the mind and what we're dwelling on and the stress we're carrying will make you sick. There are so many very brave, like celebrities and things like that are more in the spotlight that have come out and said, like Fran Drescher was one where she got a certain type of cancer. And she was like, I think it was her, if I'm correct. And she's like, I was raped and I got cancer there, 5 years, 10 years later. It was trauma. It was stress. It was anxiety. It was shame that she believed contributed to this factor. And it was a chance for her to heal. So I think I take my health very seriously. Like, that's why I say, like, I joke around, like, I don't do things that stress me out. If it's there's sometimes there's a good stress, like it's kind of like a inspirational stress, if that makes sense, which is like okay with me. But if it's a miserable stress, I typically will eliminate it. And that includes relationships, that includes people, that includes things, that includes clients, that includes money. It doesn't matter, because nothing can be on my table ultimately other than things that I feel are the opposite of that, that are bringing me health, vitality, joy, peace. And, you know, as a woman becomes more confident in herself, she can easily attract those things to her. Yeah.
Nice. Thank you. Jen?
Yeah,
Do you have
so
anything to
I
add?
think that self-care is important because basically it's what allows us to live the long life we want to live and to leave the legacy and have the influence that we want to have. If we're not healthy in our bodies and in our minds and emotions and in our spiritual realm, then we're not going to be able to live that long life, and we're not going to be able to influence, and we're not going to be able to leave legacy. So, you know, if you get a classic car, the reason that classic cars are called that is because someone took care of them from the time it was brand new until now. It made sure it had its oil change. It made sure it was washed. And it wasn't just the exterior. Like, the exterior is important because we need our physical bodies to work, but they took care of that car from the inside out. And that's why I think self-care is so important, because we have to remember that we're a multifaceted being. And when we take care of ourselves from the inside out, then we're able to have the influence in the world that we want to have and live the long life that we desire.
Nice. Thank you. So I want to end with two specific questions. Okay. We'll go one by one. I'm curious about that. And I think it will help people to hear your experience with that. So the first one is about 2020. How did you deal with 2020 from a self-care point of view? I mean, everybody was out of sync. We had to do self-care in ways we've never done before, you know. We had to find out what works for us. So how did you guys deal with COVID, with 2020 and everything that happened in the lens of self-care? Jen, do you want to start now?
Sure. The first thing I had to do with COVID is allow myself to unplug. I had to not be plugged into everything that was going on and hear all of the outside sources. I just had to unplug and take that time to get quiet and be still and do that meditation in that place where I could shut out all the outside voices and just remember what was important to me. And then I sat down and really thought about that. Okay, in this time, things are different. So what is really a priority? What's really important? And what do I need to nurture? And then I became purposeful about that. I became purposeful about finding creative ways to nurture the relationship with my family, with my friends, those things that mattered to me, and became creative with, you know, setting up virtual coffee dates with friends, setting up things where I could have interaction and do those things, or telling my family, okay, and this time I'm going to be in this space and no one gets to enter because I just need time to create or to do this. And that just purposeful with what mattered and shut out the stuff that could have been adding extra stress or unnecessary negativity.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think a lot of people discover boundaries around personal space in 2020.
Right.
Flo, do you have anything, your experience? Share about your experience?
Yeah, you know what? I think for 2020, I just I continued on. I think it actually gave me more inspiration to do things that I'd put on the back burner, things that I felt like I didn't have time for. So it gave me a new perspective, a new focus. And I also unplugged. There's so much fear going around, so much fear, heaviness, and anxiety this year. And I felt like what helped me was, you know, separating and distancing myself from all of the negativity and the fear and the this and that was just being poured out, and just, you know, kind of having faith and tapping into hope that everything's going to be okay. You know, we've gotten past, you know, plagues and things in the past with less technology and so on and so forth. So just, I think hope and faith can just overpower fear. And there was just so much fear this year is insane. So that helped me out with self-care, just, you know, having that trust and confidence that everything's going to be okay. And I'm going to continue to focus on my purpose, on the things that I need to do. And, you know, look around with gratitude at, like, you know, what is around me that I could be thankful for, and just continuing to, like, do the things I love, like staying in contact with people through Zoom. If there was courses that I wanted to take, or if there were like book clubs that I, you know, would physically go to, we just changed it to Zoom. So I still had that like WhatsApp calls or Zoom calls with family and friends. So all that self-care never, like all that interaction never stopped. So I never really felt that kind of loneliness, if that makes sense. And I just continued to do the things that I was doing pre-COVID that I could still do that gave me joy.
Mhm. Nice. Jennylyn?
Yes, exactly what Jen and Flo touched on. I mean, this isn't even politically correct to say, but I don't let fear of anything dictate my life. I don't care what anyone says, whether it be the government, Dr. Fauci, or anyone. I mean, yes, I use common sense, wash my hands definitely more. Obviously, I put on my mask like in public. I'm obviously praying for and concerned for, people that are very susceptible, like the elderly and people that have certain types of conditions. That does concern me, but it stops there. I paid almost no attention to COVID outside of the basic, precautions, lived my life normally, continued to dine out, continued to build my business. My clients were more than welcome to come to my house. I didn't say, oh, don't touch me, don't hug me. I was fine to give hugs. It's not politically correct to say that, but I would be lying to tell you that I let it dictate almost anything other than, the basic precautions. I lived a fabulous 2020. It was one of my best years yet. So that's just how I live.
No, that's great. Thank you for sharing your experience. Again, this is a panel, so everybody has their different experience. And also you live in New York, so that's a different experience than the West Coast. Yeah. I would say, again, to not repeat whatever you guys said, which of course I agree with and practice, is the one thing that I had to amplify, which I always had a strong sense before, is the self-compassion and letting myself off the hook, and being okay, not being okay. And because a lot of like old stuff showed up for me of depression and stuff that I haven't experienced in years, just because of the isolation. And I just allow myself, have self-empathy, allow myself to have bad days, learn what I need to do to, get through them. Allow myself to know that, encourage myself to know that I'm not the only one who's going through that, because that's another thing that I do. I feel like everybody else is okay and I'm the only one who's not okay, which of course is not true. So be vulnerable and share with other people. Because for me, it's definitely brought up old mental health issues and stuff that from the past that I've done a lot of work on that were not there anymore, all of a sudden showed up. So I definitely had to kind of like give myself a pat on the back and use a lot of the stuff that I knew already and that I worked on. So yeah, that's for me. That was for me for 2020. All right. So now last question. Looking back at looking forward at 2021, again, in the lens of self-care, how do you approach 2021? Because it's very uncertain to some people, we still don't know what's going on. We don't know how it's going to look. A lot of time you can kind of build ahead and be like, oh, okay, I know what's going to happen more or less, but we don't know how it's going to look, what's going to happen. There's going to be a lot of changes. New government, a vaccine, what will work, what not will work. So it's not about the specific details of that, but more about how do you approach a new year with the uncertainty and kind of like envisioning, even though you don't know what's going to happen. Flo, do you want to start this one?
Sure. You know what? I think we just have to take it one step at a time, one day at a time. I'm a planner. I'm the type of person who's always living in the future, always like, okay, I need to get here. This is what I want. This is my goal. But I think one of the things that I've learned with COVID in 2020, and it's humbled me, and I think I'm going to take it as a good tool, is that so you just have to be able to roll with the punches. You just, and that's life. There's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be curveballs. So I think, you just have to learn to there's nothing wrong with planning, but be flexible enough that things can change. And I'll be resilient enough that if things may not go the way you expected or plan, well then, okay, well, how do I reframe things? How do I continue on my path, but move around this curveball, right? And also on top of that, I'm going to carry forward what I had in 2020, just that hope and that faith that things are, and I really do believe in every fiber of my being, things are going to be okay. You know what I mean? What happens to us is not going to kill us, but make us stronger, right? And we have the choice as per how we react to circumstances. So yeah, I have hope for 2021. I do. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. And yeah, I'm just going to continue to plow forward with, you know, what is my purpose and my destiny, and just take it one day at a time, and work with what comes to me or for me the next day, and keep figuring things out.
Awesome. Thank you. Jen, do you want to answer it next?
Sure. I love one thing that I really love to be able to focus on in 2020 that I want to carry to 2021 is the ability to be present in the moment and not to get caught up in what could happen and what might happen and things that are beyond my control, but to be present in the moment with the relationships, the projects, the people that I have in front of me, and really enjoy that. And as I look into 2021, the things that I can control are my reactions, my choices, what I say yes to, what I say no to, and having those things like what Flo and Jennylyn have been talking about the thing that you're passionate about and what you're created and what you're here to do. Focusing on that and finding creative ways to put my hand to, okay, you know what, I know that I'm here to write and bring encouragement. So each day taking time to do those things that fill me up, that I know I'm here to do, that I know that are part of the legacy I'm to leave, and focusing on that rather than on the things that I can't do anything about anyways.
Thank you. Jennylyn?
Yeah, I never know what, well, okay, let me answer this clearly. I believe that we create our life and our future through mostly our mindset. So I believe that I know the general trajectory of certain things that are going to unfold for me in the future. Like, I know that I'm going to be married one day. I know that I'm going to be a mother one day. I know that I'm going to have, you know, a very, very successful business, things like that. But in terms of, I do the set it and forget it. You know, I might vision board it. I might, you know, think about it at night before I go to bed. I might affirm it. And then I'm moving on to the next great moment. So back to what Jen said, I'm all about the present moment and being totally immersed in what's happening here. I don't exactly know how all of my dreams are going to unfold. I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen with coronavirus and, you know, the trajectory of 2021, but I know it's going to be good. I'm very excited. I think 2021 is going to be my best year yet, personally. And so I'm very excited about it. And yeah, that's what I have to say about that.
Nice, thank you. Yeah, for me, it's very similar to what a lot of what you said. I would say, again, I'll talk about mental illness, and by mental illness, I mean addiction, depression, anxiety, things that a lot of people are experiencing. I would say that what it taught me is that, and what I'm looking forward at is that I have to pay attention. I have to pay attention to mental illness, and if needed, up my self-care and what I need to do. I've also had a great year in 2020. It's not like things fell apart at all, but mentally things fell apart because it's just triggered a lot of things. So I guess for me, the biggest lesson is to treat uncertainty as a friend and not an enemy, because I treat uncertainty as an enemy a lot of time, and it can be very triggering. So kind of like what you said, be in the moment, enjoy the moment, be present, pay attention. If I need to do some self-care, mental health self-care, you know, when things come up, just do it. But for the first time, I think I'm starting like a new year with a blank slate, meaning like I'm like Flo, very planner. Like I'm like, okay, this year is going to be about this. This year, you know what I mean? Very not controlling, but kind of like a little bit controlling. So this year I'm kind of like letting it unfold. I have my wishes, I have my desires, I have things that I want to experience, but I'm allowing it to just unfold and respond in the moment to whatever come. All right, last thing. Let's end really quick with what are you working on now? What website can people find you in? What's your project that you want to put out there for the people? Jennylyn, do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. You guys can follow me. I'm all over social media. So I got YouTube. My Instagram is not really that full, but I got an Instagram. You guys can follow me on Facebook. So it's just Jennylyn Chung. Search me in the search bar and I'll pop up everywhere, whether I'm singing, giving advice, encouragement to women, or giving voice lesson tips too. So I do a lot of that.
Nice, thank you. Jenn?
Yep, I am on Facebook and Instagram also, Jennifer Roth. And right now I'm just working on encouragement books actually for children. So I'll be looking for those in the next 3 months, coloring books and just books that they can do with their parents to kind of help encourage them and mental health stuff for kids.
Nice. Flo?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at FlowSoul. So one word, no W, FLOSOUL. Everybody always adds W in there. FlowSoul on Instagram. And Flo.Oramacion, really long last name, but if you put Flo.ORA, it'll pop up and you can't miss it. It's a very long last name. So you can definitely find me on Instagram or Facebook. And yeah, feel free to say hi.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm at mayakiva.com, also all the social media places. Subscribe to my podcast, Interview with Myself. I interview my feelings. And also my feelings have an Instagram account. It's called Maya Kiva Feelings, and they just share whatever they want to share. So if you're interested in that, I would love to have you as a follower. All right. Thanks, everyone, for taking your time and sharing your advice. And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, guys. Bye.
Bye, guys.